right, guys, welcome back. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I sure did. Today we're going to be looking at the Legacy Super Qualifier, which was played on Sunday. That's yesterday by the time of recording. And I'm going to do kind of a live reaction to it. I didn't want to, research it all too much and have it all figured out from the get-go. So I'm basically going to react alongside you guys. And yeah, I have a cool idea. Let's try and guess how many Psychic Frogs were in the top 32 of this event. So I would basically say that's basically just the amount of decks times 4. I don't think you can sign up with a Demure deck and not play 4 Psychic Frogs. So basically, you need to guess the amount of Demure decks in the top 32. I will go with, let's see, how many frogs? Maybe like 25% is not that bad. And then maybe I'll go for 10 copies, a little bit more. So I'll go for 40 copies of Psychic Frog. Go make your guess, and yeah, let's get into it. So 236 players decided that it was worth spending their whole Sunday playing Legacy. I can't disagree. I did the same. Unfortunately, I got smoked. I was out after 3 rounds. Lost to a couple of Demure decks, and I beat an Eldrazi deck. I played Demure midrange myself. Liked the deck, tweaked it a lot against blue-black. I even registered 3 copies of Dark Betrayal, but it didn't exactly pay off. So yeah, let's dive into it. So first place, okay, yeah, this is cool. So first place, this 36 player tournament was taken down by Mono Red Prison. This is incredibly cool to see. The version just keeps on winning. The version I've been very skeptical of, but that's just beautiful, right? There's no one correct way to play Magic. And certainly stuffing 4 Covers of the One Ring, 4 Caves of Chaos Adventure, and 4 Pyroglyphs into your, 20-land deck is one way to do it. So Mono Red definitely took it all down. Very, very stock list at this point. The sideboard is also very stock. 4 Macabres for a Pyroblast, very, very stock. And then I guess these Mind Break traps are kind of the flex slots. So how much do you want to respect fast combo? And how much do you want to just, play against the top of the metagame? So yeah, pretty cool to see that deck take it down. Yeah, okay. Whenever I see this name Killabee, I'll always guess it's something like entombing a Echo of Eons into the graveyard and do things. So it looks like Entomb is not in the list anymore. But this is a Riddlesmith combo deck. So let's see. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So you may loot. And then you have this construct, which basically says you can play those cards that you discard. So you just discard some zeros, you cast them, you plow through your deck, and then you end the game with a lethal Grave Shot at some point. You even have a card like Breakthrough is absurd with Containment Construct. You draw a bunch of cards, you discard them all, and then you just still have access to it. So it's like a draw 4 once you're going. Yeah, pretty cool. A little bit of Bowmaster action in here. Single copy of Vexing Bauble for the Sagas, I guess. 4 defense grids. You're trying to shut down your opponent's Force Will and go to town. Cool deck. Third place. All right, now we see these decks shining once more. So this is something that I talked to a friend about a few days ago, that in Legacy, you either need to be playing Reanimator or you need to have a good matchup against Reanimator, and this is exactly where decks like Quad Endurance, White of the Reliquary for Bajuka Bog, these, I oftentimes refer to it as incidental graveyard hate, and that's exactly where these decks will shine, so I'm not surprised to see that in the top 8 at all. Okay, here we go. So Metamorphosis Fanatic is a cool new tool, and it looks like most players are adopting the card. Let's see if that's true when I look at the results. But whenever I've played against blue-black during the weekend, I played a couple of challenges. People would have this card in their deck. It's awesome. It's high variance, but it's good, right? Not much else to note here. A couple of Thoughtseize and some Metamorphosis Fanatics instead of Grief, more or less, right? So sideboard, we're still trying to, play a little bit of mid-range. We're trying out Ghost Vacuum. That's a cool piece of graveyard hate. I also played that on the weekend. It was both good and bad. I mean, more testing needs to be done. Let's see what we have here. Oh, more Mono Red. Let's see. Not many 4-drops here. No Pyroglyphs. No Age of Chaos Adventure. But the list is running Petals. Okay. The list is running Petals and a full set of Magus of the Moon. So this is a player who basically said, Eldrazi, I want to play against you all weekend. I want to shut you down. That's cool. Little Ulamog here, anti-Painter in the sideboard. Maybe anti-Show and Tell. Who knows? 6th place, what do we have here? Pretty stuck Eldrazi by the looks of things. These sideboards are always, yeah, so stuck. Sure. And we have Dendrills. Love that name. Wow, okay. So we basically have 2 copies of black-green, whatever you want to call it. I need a name for that. Like, what used to be the Elves deck. Basically, the innovation of the Elves deck put 2 copies in the top 8 coming out of nowhere. But seeing the 4 Endurances, the White of the Reliquary looking for Bojuka Bog, I'm not really that surprised, to be honest. Sideboard even accounts for the graveyard even more, with, you know, Emperor and Fairy Macabre. Oh, good old Inglis. Nice job. Nice job. Looks like Inglis was playing Reanimator with main deck Graveyard Hate. This is cool, and this says a lot about the format. Reanimator is so strong that even the Reanimator deck, it can be, you know, great to hedge a little bit against the mirror in the main deck even. So yeah, pretty cool. Sideboard, I mean, there's some card choices, but it's like removal, a deck that makes you more mid-range. Like the category of cards remain the same here. So, and here we have another version of Reanimator with 2 Fanatics and 2 Animate Dead. So a little bit of a hedge, still fitting the Fatal Pushes. 3 days, 4 Wastelands. We're still trying to do it all here. Interesting. And the Needles from JPA a few weeks ago did well in the showcase with Needles. Okay. So they keep, so if the format is very predictable when it comes to naming, you know, oh, this deck has Fairy Macabre. Oh, this deck has Nile Spellbomb. Oh, this deck has Ghost Vacuum. Oh, this deck has, you know, White of the Reliquary. Or this deck has Unlicensed Hearse. I like Needle. I mean, I'm not gonna complain about Needle. That card is totally reasonable. So let's see, what do we have here? We have the next deck, which is another mono red in 10th place. Wow, amazing showing by mono red so far. So I should have asked you, how many Blood Moons do you think are in the top 32? Let's see. All right, so here's a friend of mine from my country called Lucas. Awesome to see him play Legacy. So 1 Ghost Vacuum, 1 Spell Bombs. This is just basically the deck I play. Blue-black midrange. Decent deck. Have a game against everything. Like it a lot. 3 Harbingers. Kind of a lot to go alongside 3 Consigns and the 4 Wastelands. So Lucas really prioritizing beating Eldrazi. Speaking of Eldrazi, here's another Eldrazi deck. Very stock. I guess some numbers were a bit changed here. No Thorn of Amethyst in this one. What's up next? More Eldrazi. All right. 1 Ghost Vacuum. I guess a little bit of innovation. A little bit of Leyline here. If your opponent is expecting Fairy Macabre, maybe they get very surprised by the Leyline. So I like swapping those depending on the mood. What do we have up next? Looks like some Cloud Post action. I like that deck a lot. Still same, you know. You have Kozilek's Command, that's Graveyard Hate. You have Crop Rotation for Bojuka Bog, that's also Graveyard Hate. Yeah, I mean, Karn probably can go fetch some Graveyard Hate. Yeah, copy of Tormod's Crypt. And another Reanimator deck, this time with 3 Fanatics. I will be counting the Trolls in the end. Only 2 days, so I'm playing 3, and I have been for a while. So, I mean, that number might keep going down, who knows? 3 Macabres in the sideboard for the mirror, that's pretty heavy. Here's Batatinha, one of my Brazilian friends. So he's basically playing blue-black mid-range with 3 Nile Spellbomb in the main deck. So we're noticing a trend here. Lots of main deck Graveyard Hate, and that is definitely something to keep an eye out for, because that's where we were pre-banning as well, where you can only play Reanimator or decks with incidental Graveyard Hate. Speaking of incidental Graveyard Hate, here's Painter. 1 Lantern to go get with Saga, 1 Hearse because it just randomly hoses the deck. And no Agatha's Soul Cauldron. So this is kind of the white version that's also trying to cast, you know, Source of Plowshares. I remember it also played Forthia Lingus at some point. Blood Moons in the sideboard. 6 Blood Moons even in the sideboard of Urza's Saga deck is always interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, it's for sure worth it when it's good. More Eldrazi, trying to go a little bigger, this time with a copy of 10 mana Ulamog. 19th place. Oh, okay, this has been a while since I've seen this deck. So Grixis Delver is, you know, still a good deck. Still a deck with a ton of good cards in it. I do think these days the mana is not worth the squeeze when it comes to making your mana base. I can play blue-black and play an island and a swamp, and I don't have third color commitments, but this deck is trying to go, old school Temur Delver type mana base. 8 fetches, 3 seas, 3 volcanic. We're trying to cast Channeler. We're also trying to cast Push. Also, I notice 0 lightning bolts, which says a lot about like the frog situation. Main deck Pyroblast even. What do we have here? Yeah, so Reanimator with no Fanatic. Okay, that's cool. So this player still likes the Tamios for kind of the flex slots, and is also playing a couple of pushes down to 2 Wastelands, 3 Copies of Thoughtseize. I like that a lot. That's what I initially wanted in the deck, and after playing, I still want 3 Thoughtseize. I think it's very strong when you're playing an unfair deck to either, delay your opponent, get the information, clear the way. Lots of good things can happen with that information. Brainstorm locked, nice name. So we're looking at another Eldrazi deck. Looks pretty standard to me. We have Gitaxian Probe with 4 copies of Fanatics. Okay, I mean, the card is strong, but if you have, like, the more copies you have in your hand, it's not that great, right? So you want it in your deck. For me, I just want to play 2 or 3 copies, but, I mean, this card is awesome. If you don't draw it that often, or you're good at drawing Brainstorm, go for it. A couple of Unmask here, which is not the most typical choice. I highly prefer having Thoughtseize here, but this opponent is trying to live the grief dream of having a 0 mana interactive spell. You can also unmask yourself, by the way. So getting rid of a Fanatic can maybe do some good things if you cycle a Troll, etc. All right, next deck, more Eldrazi. Pretty standard stuff here. I'm also pretty curious about the total number of Eldrazi. We can get back to that, maybe. Oh, here's another copy of the black-green deck. This deck has Springheart and Tuco. The others decided to play Sylvan Safekeeper. Yeah, I don't know. Could be one is better than the other. Who knows? Still the Endurances and the white package with the Bajuka Bog. The sideboard is a bit more well-rounded, it looks like. A couple of Zenith targets, some removal spells. Thoughtseize, that's been a staple ever since Julian Knop popularized elves back in the day. Up next, what's this? We're looking at Doomsday here, probably. Yeah, Doomsday is over there. Okay, so Doomsday with a pretty solid plan B of 4 frogs, 2 Tamios, 3 rings. That's a lot of, art flow, let's call them engine cards. And all of a sudden, the opponent now has to worry about, do I need spell removal, or do I need something against, the classic spell combo situation? So pretty cool how the innovation of that deck is working out. A couple of cages, which has pretty good crossover against some creature toolbox decks. Oh, no, okay, nice. It's nice to see Breakfast here. It's been a while since I've seen that deck. So Breakfast with 4 Nadus in it, a couple of Shukos, and a Petal for the Saga quote-unquote package. Memory's Journey for when the opponent tries to get you with, Fair and Macabre, etc. You mill your whole deck. You get a couple of more turns to finish the job with your flying creatures, I guess. Couple of Ormschan in the sideboard. I love that card. It's like old school in let's see, Plane Shift card. Yeah. That card is cool. In 7th place, what do we have here? Blue black midrange. This looks very close to what I'm playing. I was playing with Shoot the Sheriff instead of Go Through the Throat, and then I was playing with, let's see, a land instead of the 4th Days. But other than that, basically, it's my main deck. I like that deck. You have game against everything. It's fun to play. What's not to like? More standard Eldrazi things. What do we have here? Sneak Attack. Okay, well, Sneak Attack put a single copy into the top 32, it looks like, unless there's some more to come. 4 cages. I mean, it's cool to have a permanent card that the opponent now needs to draw 1 of 2 Brazen Borrowers to deal with, and then it's still going to be very temporary. So I like going hard on the hate with permanence against Reanimator. Speaking of, here's another Reanimator deck with 4 copies of Fanatic. Looks like Ozymandias is even trimming on Wasteland, like I have been doing, and he's just trying to focus solely on his own plan. The Fanatic is good. If the opponent goes for your graveyard, it's still just a 4/4 lifelinker, right? So that's kind of the theory why the card is good, in my opinion. A copy of Fell in the sideboard. I remember when I looked at the spoiler, I thought this was an instant and we made it, but It's not, so I have to play some bad removal spells. I will say it is interesting whether playing a sorcery copy of the card is viable, because there will be some timing issues against, you know, Painter, or in some matchups where you want your opponent to commit all their attackers, then punish with the removal spell. But with that being said, sometimes I just, you know, kill my opponent's creature, and it's fine to do it on my own turn, so who knows? Here's another copy of Reanimator in the second to last deck that I'm going to talk about. 3 Fanatics, still keep the Wasteland with Thoughtseize, with Daze. This version is trying to do it all, even a couple of Fatal Pushes. So I think this is the closest to the stock as we can come. Oh yeah, I was about to say, you're never going to guess what this guy's playing. Grindstone Cowboy. Yeah, so we have another copy of Painter here. It looks like the Black Splash for Bowmasters. Another Bowmasters in the yard, couple of Edicts, I guess, that covers some angles against Merit Lage and stuff like that. And I guess there you have it. So pretty cool top 32 here. Let's see if we can make a frog count before we wrap up this video. Let's see how many frogs. Maybe can I do something like this? Control F Psychic Frog. So it looks like 13 times Psychic Frog is mentioned here. Let's say 13 times 4, and that will amount to 52 copies. And my guess was what? My guess was 40. 52 copies of Psychic Frog in the top 32 of the most competitive Legacy tournament, I would guess, available. But I guess you can argue the showcase is also incredibly competitive. So Psychic Frog still keeps putting up numbers to the surprise of no one, I'll say. That card is incredible, and I would not be surprised if that card has to go at some point. But yeah, let me guys know what you noticed in this data, and what do you think about Psychic Frog. And as well, if somebody guessed the 52 copies of Psychic Frog, congratulations, well done. And yeah, that was just a short video trying to recap what happened in the Super Qualifier. I hope to see you guys back on the channel soon. See ya.